Hello and welcome to Autobiz Online. I'm Jon Pulsford and today I'm with Ronan McDonagh, the Technical Director at the Independent Aftermarket representative body in Europe, FIGIEFA. Good morning, Ronan.
Hi John, how are you?
I'm very good, thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Perhaps we can start with asking you a little bit about your own background. How did a man from County Dublin end up spending 25 years in Brussels, and what type of experience have you gained during that time?
My journey to Brussels actually started from Japan. So after college, I went to work for a company, Pioneer, in Japan. So they make audio products. So I worked in their OEM team, designing car radios, car stereos for OEM customers. At the time, it was BMW and Rover I mainly worked on. After a while doing that, I had the opportunity to come to Europe. So I came to Belgium, working mainly for French OEMs at the time. So doing the same kind of products. I then had the chance to move into the aftermarket, and in the aftermarket, I worked on. I started doing product planning, but I moved into marketing and business development. So I've done quite a lot of stuff. The last number of years in Pioneer, I worked in a global team. So I had a chance to work with a lot of the big Silicon Valley companies, like the Googles and Apples, with Spotify, those type of companies. And I also did quite a bit of work on insurance telematics as well with insurance companies. So over my years in the industry, I've had a chance to do a lot of different types of jobs.
Right. Okay. Some impressive experience there then. You took up the position of Technical Director at FIGIEFA in September last year. Can I ask what attracted you to the organisation and what does your role entail?
I think over the last number of years in Pioneer, I really got to understand the importance for aftermarket companies of getting access to data, because I was working in a data solutions team. So when FIGIEFA approached me and we're talking about, that they were looking for someone to support them with the policy issues around access to data, I could understand the importance of it. I was also really impressed with FIGIEFA's track record in representing the aftermarket, and that they've had a number of big successes over the years in promoting the interests of the aftermarket and getting those needs reflected. So when they approached me, I could see an opportunity to make a difference, and for me it seemed like a really interesting opportunity. Since I've joined, I've mainly been working on that access to data issue, because it's a really hot topic in Brussels at the moment. So making sure that aftermarket operators can get access to data and can innovate around using data in their businesses. Because things like predictive maintenance or preventative maintenance, all that kind of stuff is really important, both for fleet operators and for consumers. So getting good access to data and being able to process the data in the car and to create value from that data is really important for aftermarket to be able to differentiate and to innovate and to add value for our customers. So it's been an interesting few months since I've been here.
Okay. Block exemption is obviously a concern to many aftermarket businesses in Ireland. The current regulations are due to expire in 2023, but I understand there was a recent European Commission evaluation report that was quite favourable. Does that mean that effectively block exemptions no longer concern to the aftermarket, or is there lots of work still to be done?
No, unfortunately, there's still a lot of work to do.
I thought you might say that.
We did a lot of work to get to this point. So we did our own evaluation report, which we provided to DG Competition on how well the current motor vehicle block exemption regulation is working. And we do appreciate the results of the evaluation they've done so far. But that's an evaluation report. It's kind of backwards looking in a way. So they've looked at how well and efficiently it has done until now. And they do acknowledge, we very much appreciate the results of the report. So they acknowledge that the motor vehicle block exemption regulation has done what it was designed to do. But it's kind of been a backwards looking exercise. So looking at what happened in the past. And while they acknowledge that it has done its job, there's still no commitment yet as to like whether it will continue beyond 2023 when it's due to expire, or whether it needs to be modernized or revised. So from our side, I think we still have a lot of work to do to make sure that the motor vehicle block exemption regulation is continued and is adapted to make sure it represents the needs and interests of our aftermarket industry. So yeah, we still have a big challenge to do there.
Yeah. Okay. I guess you might say that. What are the other areas the independent aftermarket is under threat from due to restrictive practices that car manufacturers might like to introduce?
Well, from our side, I think we're particularly worried at the moment about the whole area of cybersecurity. So there's a new UN regulation which is about to come into force in Europe, and where we fear that aftermarket the OEMs may use it as a way to limit the ability of independent parts of equivalent quality to be brought into the market. So from our side, we're working very hard at the moment to try and make sure that that when those regulations come into European law, that the interests of the independent aftermarket are defended, and particularly that we have that right to continue to make aftermarket parts which can be compatible with the car. So we managed because we were quite active also at the UN level, and we did manage to get some kind of placeholders into the basic UN regulations, the global regulation, which leaves room for the European Commission to add their own requirements. So our mission now is to make sure that in the European market, that as an aftermarket industry, we have the right to bring independent parts and to get the information we need to develop those parts which are compatible. Another area we think we're paying attention to at the moment is the whole area around parts coding and parts activation, because we see some threat there as well, and particularly for the ability for independent diagnostic tools to be able to activate like parts and parts coding and to interact with the vehicle manufacturer's own systems and so on, that we can activate parts in the aftermarket is really important. So for us, those two areas are certainly from a technology perspective, are areas we're paying a close attention to. Right,
okay. Now, FIGIEFA doesn't work alone on all these policy issues, but with a network of representative bodies across Europe. Who are your main partnerships with, and how does the role of these organisations differ from FIGIEFA?
Well, like FIGIEFA is a membership organisation. So we have in Ireland, we've the SIMI are our members in Ireland. So their role is to represent the interests of the aftermarket industry in Ireland and towards the from an Irish perspective. FIGIEFA's role is then to do the same thing in the European context, so towards the European institutions and so on. We also work very closely with a whole range of other European organizations that represent the different kind of stakeholders in the aftermarket value chain. So like we work with the representative body for the roadside assistance providers, for garage operators, for the diagnostic tool manufacturers, for the leasing and rental companies, for body shops, data publishers, and I've probably forgotten somebody now, but so basically all of the actors in the aftermarket value chain. And the issue, like we see in Brussels, is like the car manufacturers are really strongly represented here and have quite a powerful voice towards the European institutions. So working closely with all of these other aftermarket representatives, we try to make sure that our voice is heard as well, and the interests of the aftermarket is fairly represented. We also work closely with our global sister organizations. So we work closely with the aftermarket representatives in the US, in Canada, Australia, South Africa, New Zealand, and we have a global right to repair campaign where we try to kind of share best practice and share experience so that we can kind of benefit from each other's activities and knowledge and so on. Right. So we really try to collaborate on, as much as possible to represent the interests of the industry.
Yeah, so it's a total global operation.
Yeah.
Okay. Just bringing it back to Ireland, many independent aftermarket companies in Ireland are concerned about their future. What can independent garages, parts suppliers and distributors do in practical terms to support the work that you do?
That's a good question. Well, I think one thing that's really struck me since I've been in Brussels is the the voice that the national representatives have in developing European legislation. So making sure that the Irish government bodies and Irish public representatives understand the important role the aftermarket plays in providing consumers with genuine choice for vehicle maintenance and repair is really important, because they do have a voice in establishing or in determining the regulation. So I think one important thing is to make sure that our public representatives understand the importance of the aftermarket and to give voice to that when it comes to defining European regulation. I think another important thing is we've been working hard to get this kind of framework of regulations in place which defends the aftermarket. But what's really helpful for us would be to know when aftermarket players feel they aren't getting access to the right to what they're entitled to, when their rights aren't being respected. Because from our side, like, having good examples of where the market isn't working, regulation isn't working, is really useful, because we can use that as evidence then to show where action needs to be taken or regulations need to be adapted. So understanding what's happening in the market and where things aren't going as they're supposed to be going, and getting that kind of information to like SIMI or to us, I think is really useful, because we can use that in our arguments to defend the industry. I think that maybe another thing as well is just, like, I'm the technical director here, so I've been quite focused on technology aspects, but as an aftermarket industry, I think it's really important that we continue to invest in, because like the connected car is becoming a reality. The OEMs themselves are investing a lot in connected services and so on. But I think as an aftermarket, we need to invest as well in technology to make sure that we can continue to offer value and to compete effectively. So I think as an aftermarket industry, continue to invest and to make sure we differentiate and we offer good services, and to stay competitive is really important. So kind of taking advantage of the rights we have, but then investing as well that we can innovate and differentiate. Is I think as an aftermarket industry, it's important that we do that.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you, Ronan. I think you've given us a comprehensive overview of the work of FIGIEFA and the threats that the aftermarket might face in the future. So thank you very much for your time, and we hope to speak to you again soon.
And thanks, John. It was a pleasure.
So that's it for another Autobiz Ireland video. I do hope this has helped to demonstrate just how important safeguarding the interests of the aftermarket in Europe is for Irish garages and body shops. We'll keep you informed about FIGIEFA's activities over the coming months. If you would like to receive notification of future Autobiz Ireland videos, please hit the subscribe button and the bell. Thanks for watching.